Another year, another postseason berth. And first off, congratulations, Jason. I know that's a big accomplishment. What does it mean to you to get this team back to the postseason and to have a chance to make another run?
Well, what it means a lot to us. To make the playoffs is not an easy thing to do, especially with some of the teams that we have to play. And I know as a goal, as part of our program, that's something that we always want to be in a position to. So we feel real good about being able to get in it again this year. And especially having a home playoff game even makes it more special. So we're, really excited about it.
Yeah, and that's in large part because you won your final game of the regular season to finish in third place. That was on the line when you went against the Scouties. So you finish at 6-4, 3-2 in the conference. Let's talk about the matchup against Southmoreland. You win that one 42-17. That's always a big game, even if it doesn't have playoff implications. This year it did. What stood out about your team's performance?
Well, I just, and this team's been doing it all year, man. I love their effort. I love the attitude they bring. And I just love the way that they were approaching the week of practice and how they got at it on Friday. I mean, playing against the Scotties, it certainly is a big game, the closeness of the two schools. And, we know coaches and, we know players and things like that. So, man, what a great atmosphere it was and what a big victory for our program.
And so not only do you improve your playoff seeding with that one, but you build some momentum heading into the playoffs as well. And I know now you're familiar with postseason play. How important is it to go in playing some good football?
Well, it's really important. I mean, we always say you want to be trying to play your best football at the end of the season, and that goes with everything you say about getting better each week, starting at camp. So, yeah, anytime you can get a win like that before you're starting the playoffs, we're going to take it, man. We feel good about it.
I think probably just about every time you do an interview, you're asked about Robbie Labuda, and rightfully so. We'll get to him momentarily, but I want to talk about Colt Chatfield, your quarterback, because even before your time, Mount Pleasant area, a team that the stats would be skewed towards the running game. You don't throw it a ton, and yet he's put together a pretty nice season. He's become a real weapon for you, and I know he's just an underclassman. How has he really shown growth?
Well, you know what? I was asked on Friday after the game about Cole, about how maybe he's a little underrated and things like that. And I think part of it is just because he's still young. Like Cole's only a sophomore. We asked him to do a lot, like with our passing game, the vertical game, the different series that we have. We asked him a lot to do with the RPO game and different reads that he has to make. Like for a sophomore, I can't really believe what he's doing. I think he's doing such a fantastic job. And I really think the kid, his best years are going to be ahead of him. Like he keeps getting better. You can see it. And I know one thing that he wants more in the world than anything is to be a quarterback for the Vikes. So I think Cole's doing a really nice job.
A couple guys who make his job a little bit easier are the backs behind him. And you've got two good ones. Robbie Labuda, who went over 1,000 yards, and he's done it all. I know he's kicking extra points for you. He's scoring touchdowns on the ground as a receiver as well. And Lane Golkowski's really had a nice season. And he's a guy who, much like Labuda, Golkowski can catch it out of the backfield as well. So those guys have been very impressive and very instrumental in what you do. What makes them so special?
Well, we got other kid too, Jackson Hutter in the backfield, that equally as important. And I think I think that these kids just, they really just buy in the idea about being a team and doing what's best for the team, and none of them are selfish. None of them really are about, self-promoting. And I just think it's really refreshing with that. And they'll do whatever they have to do. If they got to carry it 3 times to win the game, or if they got to carry it 12 times to win the game, they're going to do it. If they're not carrying the football, they're going to be blocking for the other guys. So I just love everything about it. I think they're just really good kids, especially enjoy the relationships. It's real fun to be around them.
Well, you mentioned they're willing to do whatever it takes for the team. I think the same can be said for Tyler Reese, because he was your quarterback last year. You move him to receiver. Now, I know he's missed some time with injury, but he still made a real impact. Played a little bit of quarterback, but primarily catching passes. What are his best attributes?
Well, I think just with him, he's just a good athlete, number one, that really helps him completely, not selfish at all, moving back to wide out, not even an issue with him. And when we talk about like playing good at the end of the year, I really think Tyler's starting to play his best football right now, and we're able to get him some touches running the ball and throwing it to him. And he's even making an impact on defense. So he's definitely a good kid to have on your, our side.
You've been an assistant at Mount Pleasant, but when you took over as the head coach, the team missed the playoffs for a couple of years. You got back. Last year, you got that playoff win as well. So how important is it to make sure that this is not a step back and that you keep building the postseason success?
Well, I think it's real important. I mean, we definitely are going to do everything we can to try to win this game. We know it's going to be a big challenge for us. But when you talk about it, about the program, that's how we like to talk about things here, about doing what's best for the program, keeping things going, making it into the playoffs and getting a victory is something we definitely have as a big goal of ours. So we're going to really give it a good shot here when we get into it on Friday.
So it is a 12-team bracket in Class 3A, meaning the top 4 teams each get buys to the quarterfinals. And so you get the number 8 seed, and as a result, get to host a playoff game against the number 9 East Allegheny Wildcats. Were you sweating out the fact that it would potentially come down to maybe just 1 seed as to whether or not you'd be at home or on the road?
You have to be honest. Whenever we come back, on Friday, we drew on the whiteboard there. We were talking about scenarios, and I think everyone does that. And I think that's fun to do a little bit. But honestly, it was going to be what it was going to be, and we're going to play where they told us to go, So to get a home playoff game is really important. We love playing at home. I love the atmosphere that we have at home and what our community brings. So we think it's going to be really fun night.
In theory, the 8 versus 9 should be the most evenly matched first round game. And so East Allegheny, I know, has had a good season. Now they're coming off of a tough loss, but they've had some impressive victories as well. When you look at them, what stands out about the Wildcats?
Well, number one with them is their athleticism. I think they got a lot of athletes, and I think that's how they try to play it on offense and defense. So I think number one, that's going to be the biggest challenge right there, is trying to have a good plan, what we're going to do against them, and what we can do to limit them.
I know you have some familiarity with their head coach, Don Pecora, a good friend of us here at the Westmoreland Sports Network, a guy who coached at Southmoreland before taking over at EA. So what's your relationship like with him, and what are maybe some of his tendencies that you then subsequently see in his teams?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been a few years since we played against him. I remember I was on staff with and we played against him a couple years in a row with Southmoreland. Remember, he had some really talented wideout kids, some skilled kids. They were really tough team then. And I think we last played EA was back in 2013. And I think maybe he was the head coach there at that time. So we do have a bit of a history there going against him. But I think it's well known that he does a good job. He gets at it, coaches his kids real well. And we know they're going to be ready to play.
I know you mentioned that they have some athletes, some skill guys. What are the biggest keys on your side to victory?
Well, we always say it, right? We want to, number one, take care of ourselves. We want to make sure that we have, what we want to do and kids in the right spots, that we're going to practice that way. And then the second thing, like you said, what we feel like we got to take away on both sides of their ball, that's what we're going to try to do. So those will be some keys for us. Try to limit what they can do and make sure that we have ourselves ready to go.
Lastly, you play all season to get to the playoffs, and to get a home game in the playoffs, you have that opportunity to play in front of your fans at Mount Pleasant. How special is that?
Really special. That's like I said, you love playing at home. A lot of people always comment to us about just what a show it is at Mount Pleasant, like with our band and our cheerleaders, and there's always a lot of people there. There's always a lot of excitement. I just think it's a good environment, man. I just think it's a fun place to play. And, anytime that you can play at home, you don't get a lot of home games when you look at a year, so everyone's going to be special, man. Playoffs even adds a little bit to it. So we're definitely looking forward to it.
Well, Jason, we are as well. Once again, congratulations on getting back to the playoffs. Good luck on Friday as well.
Yeah, sure thing. Appreciate it.